Welcome to the talk today, how to take great birds in flight and wildlife action photos without spending years in the field. So my goal from this web class is I want to build up your confidence. So this is, I think, one of the most important things. A lot of us have self-doubt about whether you can become a great photographer, and I want to use this web class to help you to build the confidence. And I also want you to have clarity by the end so that you know you have a good game plan of what you're gonna do, okay? And then the third one is, of course, help you to win a lot of awards, right? Sounds good, everybody? Okay, just make sure to type in the chat because your comment really means a lot to me. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about my vision, what I believe in. So I believe a great photo has the power to make a change. And what change do we want? I want my photos to have the power to go against poaching. And you guys know about a lot of habitat destruction. And most importantly, as more and more new beginning photographers get into photography, there are a lot of something we call Turons, right? The iPhone photographers and those. And a lot of them have no idea how to take photos, and then they harass the animals. So if we can take great photos to help to educate those people, that will be very important. So to me, the best way is to make a change is by taking great photo and get known. So some of you may disagree with me, is that I don't care about getting known, getting awards and stuff, but I think that is the shortest path to getting your message to reach as many people as possible. And I think the animals in the world needs your help. So that's why taking great photos is important. Photographers like Nick Brand, anybody knows who Nick Brand is? Great guy, definitely check him out in Google after this talk. And Paul Nicklin, right, the Sea Legacy, they are changing the world with their photos. And they are my inspiration. And if I don't know if any of you have heard about this photo right here, like this photo. This is from a website that I saw. I was asking my my aunt, who is a photojournalist, about what is the most impactful photo in China. And she told me, oh, you haven't heard about the big eye girl? So the photographer here, the photographer's name is Jia Hao Long. He took a photo, this one, the black and white photo. And because of the photo, which was able to capture a girl who is living in poor rural environment, but her dedication to study, that photo sparked a movement called the Project Hope in China many years ago. And the project has raised over US $1.5 billion and built 19,000 schools in the rural area in China and saved 5 million kids. So can you imagine that kind of power that can be done in a photo? For me, I felt that excitement this year when the Remembering Bears, which was a very meaningful conservation project that is being done to, they create a beautiful book from all the best photos from photographers. And they used one of my photos in their Kickstarter. And that project was able to help raise $180,000 for the conservation. So I mean, I'm just like a small potato in this world about helping the change. But you can see that if we keep on pushing it, if we can work together, that is my vision, that we can all make it work. Okay. Everybody good with that vision? All right, so now let's go into the technical side, the skill side. So who is this webinar for? It's for busy everyday people who are stuck and want to improve. And it's also for beginners who are very serious about this, but they want to save years of trial and error. And it's also for seasoned professionals who want to reach a new level in photography. Okay. However, this webinar is not for people who have a big ego and don't have an open mind to try. So don't be negative here. And it's not for people who bait and harass animals, because what I'm going to teach you are some of the most powerful techniques that I learned, and I don't want you to use that onto harassing animals and spread the wrong message to people. So if you bait and harass animals, please leave. And third is people who just do manipulation on the final image too much. You know, people who change the background completely and clone stuff and stuff like that. I want to be as truthful as possible for photographers. So this is it. So, okay, so all these are gone. Okay, so we still have 45 minutes. Good, good. Everybody's still with me, right? So what we will cover today, I'm going to show you how to take great birds in flight and wildlife action photos. I want to share with you powerful editing without overdoing it, and how to really take photos that win awards, get publications, print sales, go viral, everything you can name it, so you can spread your message and let people see your art. Okay, so are there anybody here who haven't heard of me yet, who just kind of saw Instagram posts and stuff? Type in no in the comments. Nobody. Okay, so some of them haven't known it. So would you guys allow me to just spend a few minutes to introduce myself for those of the people who haven't heard of me? So my name is Tin Man Lee, and obviously this photo looks a lot more handsome than a real person. And I was from Hong Kong originally, and I came to the United States when I was 17. I dream about getting an MFA, Master of Fine Arts in Photography. However, I realized that I need a good portfolio, and I didn't have that. So at the time, I wanted to do an advanced degree. So I applied, and then turned out that there is a degree in image processing, and I kept studying and studying for that, and I ended up getting a PhD at UCLA in biomedical engineering, specializing in neuroimaging, because in medical field it is much easier to get funding to sponsor my tuition and stuff. So turn out I studied neuroimaging on my path to photography. And what ended up was I worked in a cubicle job for 10 years after I got my degree. So anybody here who have a full-time job, type yes, so that you guys know that we are on the same boat. So I was, okay, awesome, nice. So we share the same thing then. So now you know my frustration. So I was an IT project manager, and also at extra time, I would also do research at the company on AI and imaging stuff. So does this place looks familiar to you guys? We really use the same phone, God. And during the time during the weekends and weekdays, I would just go to take photos. This is a photo I took in Hawaii with my parents, and you can see that I have a 100 to 400 lens, and then a 28 to 70 lens, and I suck. I suck in photography. It's just like go and take photo very passively. But then something happened around 2010 to 2012, and I learned a new technique that I'm going to share with you today. And all of a sudden, I won the grand prize in Nature's Best Photography Winston Smith Rice International. And this is the award ceremony at the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History. And not only was my photo displayed in the museum, but it was also at the entrance of the museum, which was one of the highlights of my life. And I was on Smithsonian TVs and all this, and I got invited in Hong Kong to do a solo exhibit, and it was incredible. And then I started to teach my students on some of my techniques. And I want to share with you, Jeremy, he is a very busy doctor, wonderful, outstanding doctor. And he came with me, and then he won the top prize in bird category at NANPA and Judges' Choice Award and stuff like that. And also Glenn just got published in the prestigious Bird Photographer of the Year Award, who is also one of my students. And I even got invited as a judge in Bird Photographer of the Year and Nature Photographer of the Year. And then I remember one time I did a Zoom class just like this today on a Sunday, which was like a 4-hour class on like new camera techniques and stuff. And and over 200 people joined. And in that class, I charged money, and I make $50,000 in one day. And I was like, holy cow, what happened? And so hundreds of students later, I quit my daytime job. And now I'm a full-time wildlife photographer. So I'm going to share with you some of my ideas on how the life became after I became a full-time photographer. And some of you guys, such as Candy, was there in the audience. And for example, 12 people were paying me $15,000 to $19,000 to learn from me last year in a tour, and I have other tours and stuff. And that is my life. So this is like a brief introduction to myself, but let's go into the key thing. So let's go into secret number one: how to take great birds in flight and wildlife action photos without spending years in the field. Okay, so at the time I had a 9-to-5 job, right? And I only had 3 weeks vacation per year. So people who have full-time jobs can relate to it, right? I know a lot of you guys are professional in IT, in like medical field, and like lawyers and all these, right? So all I could do at the time was I could only spend evenings after work or in the weekends to local areas in Los Angeles where I work and where I live to do that. I still remember one time I was waiting for an osprey on a telephone pole to take flight, and I waited for like 4 hours after work, and the osprey never took flight. And that is my typical day. So nothing, there's nothing happening. So I asked myself at the time, like, is time equals money? Like anybody say yes if you agree that time is money? For me, I realized that time is actually more valuable than money when I only have 3 weeks vacation in a year. So I decided to spend some time to learn from the masters who are full-time professional photographers, so that I can save years of my trial and error. Right? So I spent over $100,000. God, I feel so bad, on photography workshops and tours. And with so much money I spent, I thought I was guaranteed to get great shots, right? And turn out it wasn't. For example, when I went to Denali National Park, anybody been to the Denali National Park in Alaska? You know that you are in a shuttle bus. You're looking out from a glass window, and the bears, when you saw them, most of the time they are miles away, so you only see a dark spot. However, if you go to places like Lake Clark or Katmai National Park in Alaska, you can get a much closer opportunities for bears. So there's a lot of things that is not just about the sighting or just about the tours that you go. And also I learned that a lot of the time I pay a lot of money for the leaders, but the leaders don't really teach. A lot of them, when they mention it's a tour, they just let you go with them. And then you just take your photos. At most, they will tell you some of the settings of the cameras, but that's it. And when they did teach you, everybody have different methods on photo editing for the ideas of like front lit, back lit, side lit, and all these things. And I was like, oh, I become a schizophrenic. And so what ended up was I have tons and tons of these hard drives of my photos, but I had no idea how to pick from these thousands of photos to submit to for the photo contest, and which photo contest to submit to. How do I really edit that the contest allows? And when I share with my friends and families and in social media, nobody seems to care. Like I get like 2 likes at most, which was from my parents. If you agree with that. And at the same time, I came across a magazine called Nature's Best Photography, William Smith Rice International. And this is Federico Vernici. At the time, it was 2010, I think. He won the grand prize in this photo contest. And I was blown away by the photos in that issue. There are photos by Paul McKinsey and I think by Daisy, lots of great photographers. And I was like, God, like, this dream seems to be too far away from me. I can never amount to become somebody who can take those photos. So anyways, I keep on joining those workshops. And then at a Loons workshop by Charles Glassett, pun intended, People who join are loons, I guess. So I met a guy who sat next to me in a table. His name is Carl, and he reminded me of Warren Buffett, actually. Sorry, Carl, if you're in the audience. And he was a very quiet guy, but somehow we have a bonding because believe it or not, I'm also very quiet. So he's actually crazier than me. He said, Tin Man, I joined about 25 tours in a year. And I said, what? He said, yeah, he said, he's in his 70s. He said he realized that he only have a few years that he can be very active. So he want to pack all the tours he can be to see as much things he can do. And so he joined bird tours, wildlife tours, landscape tours, macro tours, and he only joined from the top of the top photographers. And guess what? He said, hey, Tin Man, do you want me to share with you my notes with different photographers? And he shared with me and said, of course. And I said, I look at the notes. He has like a big book, like big notebook on all the techniques of all the photographers. It's like the Bible of photography. And he circle out the good stuff, and then he cross out the bad stuff. And then we'll discuss days and nights. And I just did a search yesterday. And guess what? We have exchanged over 2,800 emails over the years on photography. And we were just crazy dedicated. We would talk about what are the good methods. Like if we have limited time, how do we deal with that? How do we talk about like evoking emotion and all this stuff? And over the years, not just Carl, I also have many great mentors and friends I'm forever grateful for. So anyways, at the time, I know I have limited time, right? I cannot travel a lot because I only have 3 weeks vacation. So I cannot wait like the full-time photographers in the field for months and months for the perfect light and once a lifetime behavior. So does it mean that's the end? Should I just give up? So turn out is not. So one time I posted this photo on the internet where I got from Yellowstone, and I was shocked because that's really the first time I post a photo online. And the photo got 2,000 likes in 500 px, if you guys know what is 500 px. And I got 200 comments, and some of them are long comments that deeply moved me. And there I know one of my great friends, Henrik, there too. So I was like, what happened? And then I started to use some methods that I discussed with Carl and then just test it on the internet. And anyway, so that photo also won Nature's Best Photography. And then I started to post other photos using the same techniques. And these photos got like 50,000 likes and being shared and stuff. And I was like, what was going on? Are we onto something? Because really, I only had 3 weeks of vacation to take photos over the years. So I had an epiphany. It's not what you photograph, it's how your photo makes the viewers feel. Everybody with me? If you understand what I mean, type in feel. Like feel is the most important thing. So I reverse engineer it. I realized that, hey, hold on a second. I now know that maybe I don't need a lot of time in the field. All I need is to know what are the trigger points to make people feel. And if I can just focus on taking photos that make people feel something, that's it, right? Then I can save a lot of the time. So instead of being the creatures of circumstances, instead of waiting in the field for months, waiting for that spectacular moment, you can become a creator in any of the circumstances. Anybody with me there? So now let me share with you how to really save years of time to take great photos, right? So number one, you only travel to target rich environments. So is that, Tim? And I know that, of course, you only go to the places where you know there is a sighting. Well, that I thought so, but I was wrong, because okay, second thing is you have to tell a powerful story to make them feel, right? Everybody with me? Feel, right? And then use your story to transform people with your message in social media and winning awards, publication, and exhibits. So target rich environment is not only about the sightings. It's not only about the number of wildlife. You also have to fit in the time when there is very interesting behavior and bleeding plumage for birds, right? They have, when they are mating, when they have chicks, when they have babies, those are the time when they are gathering together, that is active. So that's number two. Number three is you got to go to a place where the animals is not too far from you. That is very simple, right? But in the beginning, I struggled. I kept on trying to get close to places where hunting was allowed. And then these animals are super skittish. So instead of wasting all the time for you to get closer to the animal, why don't you go to places that is proven to have animals closer by? And also, this is another important fact is you got to go to a place where you can get to the eye level of the animals, because when you can get to the eye level, the photos will become much more powerful and you can make people feel more. And also, habitat is also very important. What I mean by that is you got to go to a place where the background would be good. For example, if you go to Lamar Valley in Yellowstone, it is very challenging because you are at a valley. So what it means by a valley is that the road is at the bottom, and then both sides is the slope of the hill. So it is very difficult to get a good separation of the animal from the background. So you get distracting backgrounds easily. So it's not that it's not good, but it just become a lot more challenging to get a good shot, right? Okay, and also hours. What I mean by that is some of the parks, for example, there are weasels in our local parks, but the place only opens at 7:30, and there's gates closed. The gates only opens at 7:30, but the sunrise is at 5 a.m. So by the time you get there, the light is gonna be harsh. So if you go to a place where you can't even get good light, then just don't waste time on that. So that is what my definition of target rich environment. So anytime when you go from now on, make sure that you can cross all these points before you even attempt to do it. So this 80-20 rule, spend 80% of time in those areas, right? So second, tell powerful story to make them feel. So this is something that I learned from an encounter with the legendary Michael Nichols, National Geographic photographer. By the way, this is my good friend Donald here, and Melissa Grew, my very good friend, took this photo when we were in Yellowstone. So we went into Michael Nichols there. And so I was so anxious. I was so excited. And of course, I said, hey, Nick, can you check out my photos? And then he looked through my photos in my phone. And then he was like, oh, these are nice photos. And then he looked at me in the eyes and he asked me, so what is your message? And I was like, crap. I never thought of that. I thought I nailed the shot. It was sharp and stuff. I never thought about the message. So it turned out that Michael Nichols was able to use 10 of his photos to convince the head of a country to build 10 national parks. Can you imagine the power of that? So definitely check out Michael Nichols' photos on that. So after his question, it made me think about the importance of telling a strong story. And are you guys ready? What are the 4 important components to tell a powerful story? Number 1, it needs to be tag sharp. Sometimes even if you are doing plan blur, the eyes still need to be tag sharp. So tag sharp is very important, number 1. Number 2, the photo needs to have a pattern interrupt with a hook. I'll explain it later. Number 3, it needs to lead the viewer's eyes on a visual journey. Remember, visual journey, okay? Number 4, there must be a climax with external and internal emotion. Are you guys still following me? So these 4 things are very important, and I'm going to teach you how you can do it, okay? So number 1, tag sharp. It must lock onto the eye. The eyes is the window to the soul, right? Again, at the conversation with Michael Nichols, who is my idol, as you can see it, I asked him, so what is the f-stop you use in your photos? And he said, I always shot wide open. Why? Because as long as you can lock the focus on the eyes, people's perception, people will feel that your photo is sharp. So everything is about the feel. So make sure that you have to lock on the eyes. And If you are using the digital SLR for burst in flight, make sure you use the surrounding point so that you have a higher chance to lock onto the eyes. If you're using mirrorless nowadays, the eye focus really helps you to lock onto the eyes. And if you are still using digital SLR, make sure you use the pre-focus, meaning that you lock the focus on something closer by the animals before the animals show up, and so that you can lower the time, the lag of the time it takes to lock onto the animal. So focusing on the eyes is what I learned from Michael Nichols. Second thing is you have to have enough shutter speed. So there's nothing more important than shutter speed in action photography. So I still remember one time I got a jumping bobcat photo. It was actually in the encounter with Michael Nichols there. I'm going to show you an example what is not a tech shot photo. When I zoom it in, look at that. So this is what I mean by not test sharp. So you, 500 of a second, at the time I was a beginner, I had no idea. So make sure that for action photography, you have to have at least 1600 or 2000 of a second, and blow it up to 200% and zoom in on the eyes to see if it is tech sharp. So that is very important. And you may say that, okay, I know the shutter speed, I know the f-stop, but is that all? So turn out it's not. Sharpness has a lot to do with the feeling of how sharp it is. And also it has a lot to do with the quality of the image. Right now we are dealing with digital camera. So digital camera is different from film camera. For film camera, you want to sometimes underexpose it and then push it in the post-processing. But for digital camera, you actually have to overexpose the photo, meaning that you actually want to take a photo brighter than what it looks like, because the sensor can get more information when you allow more light onto the sensor. So the key idea here for exposure, to minimize the noise of the image, to make the image look sharper with more detail, is to take a photo as bright as possible without blown highlight. So that is the concept of what we call the exposed to the right, which is really, really critical, especially in low light photography. I have a separate webinar on editing that I can share with you guys later, that I go into details, but this is what I call blown highlights. So here you can see from on the front forehead of the owl, because of the blown highlight, it's almost like when you look directly into the sun, your eyes got blinded by it, and it takes you a long time to recover, right? So that is, you're blinding some of the sensors. So the sensors lose the capability to capture any of the details. And when you are submitting the photos to a photo contest, any of the judges, when they see blown highlights, that is an instant disqualify. So that is very important. So for digital SLR, what you do is, so this is another concept. You want to make the image brighter, because in post-processing, if your image is underexposed and then you open up the shadow, you get a lot of noise. But if you get it in camera, you can get a lot more details from the noise. So how do you do the perfect exposure in digital SLR? So first of all, you look into the field and look for something that is mid-tone. What I mean by mid-tone is you turn your eyes into a black and white, and then look for the gray area. And then you do a spot meter into the area. This idea comes from Charles Glasser, by the way, so I want to give credit. So what you do is you hard press it, and then you make sure that the meter is on the center, so that you are telling the camera that, hey, this is the point where I want the camera to be in the middle, by adjusting the shutter speed, your f-stop, and your ISO, so that this thing goes to 0. And then you also dial it to plus 0.7. Why? Because you want to overexpose the photo without the blinkies, of the blown exposure. So this is the idea about manual exposure in digital SLR. For mirrorless, this is no longer a problem, because you have real-time histogram in your viewfinder. So what you want to do is just to change all the settings in your camera, the shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, so that the histogram would be exposed to the right without cutting any of the signals on your histogram. And if you use the Sony, it's even better. Anybody who use Sony here? I don't want to piss off the people in Nikon and Canon. You have the zebra, which really immediately tells you where are the blown highlights. So if you get the photos too bright, the camera will give you a warning so that all you need is just to lower it so that you can always get the photos that is the brightest without the blown highlight, and your photos will be sharp as a tack as long as you capture the eyes of the image. Okay, everybody with me on the sharpness details. If you have any questions, I have the metering tutorial at the end where I can share with you. But just remember, what I talk about is the principles that is really important on that. Okay. Okay. So, Jing, any questions so far?
We have had a question about whether the webinar will be available after the meeting concludes.
Okay, the answer is yes. So I'll send you a replay afterwards. So lots of information, I guess. And Jane, I got your message. I may be talking too fast, but I'm just trying to teach you as much as possible. But I'll try to slow down a little bit. Okay, everybody's still with me, right? Nobody is sleeping. Okay, it's sharp enough. So tell me if this photo is sharp. Tell me if this photo is sharp. Does it work? Tell me, is it work? Yes or no? Are these two photos sharp enough? Does it work? No, it's not good. So you still have to have a few more components to create a powerful stories, like Michael Nichols say. So number 2 is pattern interrupt with a hook. What I mean by that? Think about today when you woke up and you open your Instagram app and then you scroll through the images. How many seconds do you give a chance for each photo? 1 second, 0.5 seconds, 2 seconds, everybody type in the chat. Well, for me, I just use my thumb to roll it out, right? Less than half a second for each of the photos. And usually the photos is in a very small format in the phone, right? And imagine when I was a judge in the photo contest, I got tens and thousands of photos submitted, and I have to pick the photos. So I have to look at photos, like 10 photos at a time on a page with a thumbnail. So if your thumbnail doesn't hook me into clicking on your photo to open it up, your photos will have no chance. So this is very unfair back in the days when, there's not a lot of people doing photography, but nowadays is a changing of the game now. So you have to understand the rules to really play the game. So unfortunately, people all have ADHD now, the attention deficit. So you have to hook them in the first half a second or less than 1 second here. So how do you hook them? You have to have something that interrupt them, that is different from the typical photos they see, right? So imagine if you see a photo with a bird in the sky or an animal in the grass, right? Green grass, blue sky, right? Think about something different. Think about something different that make people think, oh, this is different. What I'm looking at? Right? So these are some of the examples of a pattern interrupt. So if you are still taking photos that has a blue sky and a green, like this one, I'm kind of like kicking myself here. But this one has the small versus big pattern interrupt. So there are a lot more pattern interrupt instead of just colors, as I can tell you. This is another kind of pattern interrupt using a different pattern in the sense of the pattern interrupt. But you understand what I mean, right? The golden background, the blue and gold, the dark background, all of these are something that if you don't have those in your photos in component, you cannot blame people of looking through your photos without clicking a like. So a few weeks ago, I had the great joy in Hong Kong to go out with James and Daphne from Hong Kong, who are wonderful filmmakers and photographers. And I was with my buddy Paul McKinsey, and I secretly took a photo. And take a look at Daphne. She knows that I was secretly taking a photo. But anyways, so let's play a game here. In 2 seconds, can you type in the chat, what are the red things that you see? Okay, I'll count to 1, 2. Okay, anybody remember the red things? Okay. So now my question is, tell me what are the things that are blue, right? So if I go back into the photos, right? If I ask you what are the red things, right? You see this, the side of the boats, and then you see this thing here, and then you may see some reflection of the red in here, right? But if I ask you to pay attention to those, you would not know what is blue, right? You would not realize that, oh, my face mask is blue. My t-shirt, my shirt is dark blue. This seat is blue here. And the side of the bow is also blue. And then James, I think, is it the dark blue? And then this one has a blue hue here too. You see, so you don't see that, right? Anybody agree with me about this? So we only focus on things that we are focusing on, right? Do I get a yes from the audience on that? So, and then I ask you, what you said, Tim and I already know what are the blues too. To tell me what is yellow in the photo. Anybody remember what is yellow in that photo? Type in the chat. Okay, it's Stephanie's jacket here. So there's you see there's a huge disconnect, and this I think is the biggest discovery for me in photography. And I also have to give credit to my good friend Putik, who has a long conversation with me about this topic. And this disconnect, if you can resolve this can change your photography, okay? So remember, just one more. Have you ever been in a fight with your significant other? Yes, type yes if you have. So, you may say like, God, like, all I was saying is just good for her, or how come she didn't understand? And then she will be like, my God, like he never understand me. And you see, what we see is very different, and what they see and what they feel are very different from what we see in most of the situation here. And if you can really think, put yourself in their shoes, right? Oh, I understand everything you did is good for me, and I really am grateful for that. And things are resolved. Right? Who come here for counseling for couples actually? So I'm very good at that. So what I mean by that is, when we as a photographer are in the field taking a photo, for example, you're taking a photo of a bobcat. I am taking a photo of a bobcat, and the background is trees and stuff, right? What the photographer are experiencing in that moment. Can anybody tell me what you're experiencing it? What you're experiencing it, what you see and what you feel is the thrill of this special encounter. Oh my God, is this a bobcat? I have to find the eyes. I have to lock the eyes. Where's the eyes? Don't move so fast, right? Like, oh my God, like it disappeared. Where did it go, right? The excitement of locking the focus. And then I said, oh, I better not mess up the camera setting. What is my shutter speed? Is it 1600 of a second? Okay, it is. And is the bobcat still there, right? And then make sure, oh, I want to make sure that I don't crop the ears. I don't crop the feet. Oh, he's walking this way. Oh, let me see how to do it, right? So this is all your focus on, right? Anybody with me here? Anybody knows the encounter and all these things, right? So this is what you're focusing on. And then you take a photo. And then you share a photo with your friends, right? Look at how cool it is, right? And then the people in the internet and stuff don't even give you 2 likes. Why is that? What do they see? Can anybody tell me, when you didn't experience that moment, what do you see in this photo? What people are seeing in this photo and feeling in this photo are that, oh my God, this photo is way too bright. Wow, it's blinding my eyes. I look at this bright fur, the bright trees, and then like these dark areas, and then, oh, this green thing, this black thing. Oh, it's just the crappy photo, right? So this is what, in reality, what people feel, and what they are looking at is not really focusing on here. What they are focusing on are the distractions surrounding the animals. Everybody with me here? So you see the disconnect here? And if we don't narrow this disconnect in our photography, you can never tell a powerful story in your photography, okay? So again, this photo, right? I was so excited. I mean, oh my God, hyperventilating. This is a kitten. There's a bobcat with a rabbit in the mouth looking at me. But this one, everybody were attracted by it. Like, you can't even see the bobcat almost, like this distracting background here. And about this photo, again, like, people's eyes just got dragged into this dark area, this bright area, and this dark shadow and stuff like that. And even this photo, you think it is good, right? You look back at some of your photos, you think this is a nice separation, but everybody are looking into this one and this cross and then this black and stuff and this black and stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 4 distractions that people are looking at instead of the story you're trying to tell. So say it with me here. Type in the chat. What do we call those photos? Non-photos. Okay. So from now on, every time when you see something like that, type in the chat non-photos. Okay. So in order to get a really good non-distracting background, you have to be very brutally honest with you. Like something like this, that a lot of the photos I got in the beginning, these are non-photos background, right? Because people's eyes is gonna drag into this. And these are the photos that you don't get distracted onto that. So for example, now you can see a difference, right? In this photo and also in these photos, right? Because then you can really narrow that disconnect and started to tell your photos. Everybody with me on this one? So all we need is a clean background, right? So Tin Man, I already know it. God, like this is nothing new, right? So of course it's wrong. So you have to really consider each component in your image as your God. I'm going to go over time again, Jane. Everybody still with me? Every time I have to say everybody will have another 15 minutes here. Are you feeling interesting that so far you're learning something good? Okay, so we will talk for another 15 minutes. Okay, so consider each component in your image as spoken word, right? What we are talking, what we are saying in the thing, right? So each component in your image, right? So imagine if you have a script that you have to read it out, and the script was written by none other than Mr. Jerry Seinfeld, one of the most famous stand-up comedian of our world, right? And do you think that you can deliver the same script and make people laugh as much as Jerry Seinfeld? The answer, yes or no? The answer is no, because according to Professor Albert Mehrabian, who is a UCLA alumni, he has a rule called the 7, 38, and 50. I just searched it yesterday. I didn't even realize it. This is a specific thing. What he meant is that what we deliver, only 7% is the spoken words, 38% is the tonality, and 55% is the body language in order to make people feel something. And in photography, what we have to focus on is not just the spoken words, what we are seeing in the scene. What is the most important thing to tell a story is the tonality and the body language in an image. And how do we create this tonality and body language? We have to make use of human psychology, right? So what people feel, we have to think every second of what people feel. For example, let's play another game. Look at this screen, right? Look at all the animal species that I mentioned here, right? Can you remember all of this in 2 seconds? So now let me just go into another game. So now look at this, right? So just focus on one thing. Now, what are you focusing on? So I can't decide, Tin Man. Like there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that is I can't focus. Right? Your eyes is going all over the place, right? But how about if I do it now, like this? What do you feel? And how about now? And how about now? And how about now? And how about now? How about now? Everybody say yes if your eyes is following where the white words is moving. So do you understand what it means? Our eyes always go from dark to bright. We just can't control it. This is our human psychology here. And let's play something even more crazy. Okay, so look at this. How about this? 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 How about that? So what you just see is that, oh, I don't know why, but I feel that it is so smooth, like you are really smoothly, gently guiding my eyes now, instead of like bright and dark, like all of a sudden. So, our eyes love subtle, gentle gradient to move from dark to bright. Okay, everybody with me on this one is very important. And how about now? If I do this thing, I show you this, and then I show you this. Which one are you looking at now? Which words are you looking at, right? So this is what I call from a cold color to a warm color here. So guess what? Grandmasters have been doing it all these years. Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi, one of the most famous, most expensive paintings that is recently sold. You look at this painting right here, and you think, oh, this is a beautiful painting of Jesus that Da Vinci painted. But did you realize how many of those gradient and tension that Da Vinci have used? So he has used, this is dark color, warm color. So your eyes is moving from here to here. This is dark. This is gradually brighter. This is brighter. So your eyes can control and move from here to here. Your eyes can move from here to here. And there's some curve and leading lines that help you to guide your eyes to move from here to here. And then from cold to warm, you look at this ball here, and then you look at from here. Our eyes always start from the lower left, by the way, and then you go from the cold to the warm to the finger, and then the finger points you to the eyes, right? So you have what I called a visual journey. And this visual journey is continuous and is very powerful and is stacking one by one. So you feel this magic of Mr. Da Vinci, of this photo that is magical. And we can reverse engineer the same thing in photography, right? So dark and bright, cold and warm, a lot of the stuff, right? So smooth visual journey. How do we do that? Does this one has a smooth visual journey? Everybody answer me yes or no. The answer is no, because there's this line right here. That's what I call the dead line of horizon, right? And how about this one? Is this a smooth visual journey? No, because there's something right here. Our eyes is always going to drop from here, and then it reduces the impact of the bird on here. Also in here, there's this dark shadow. So these two are the black holes that I called that will destroy our smooth visual journey for the viewers. This one, do I need to say more? These and these and these and these, no visual journey, right? So what is it called? Everybody say with me. Non-photo. Okay, how about this one? Amazing behavior, right? And this male penguin is bringing a rock as a gift to the female for mating, right? This is this and these and these and these stop the smooth visual journey. So you never have a smooth visual journey to the hook of this part of the image. Okay, so how about this one? A lot nicer, right? Cold to warm, cold to warm. The eyes, you have some space looking into it, and then you have like nice line leading and stuff like that, right? Everybody with me on here? And so this can also be applied to editing, believe it or not. So before, you may have studied a lot of classes on editing. You learn about color adjustment, curves, luminosity mask, everybody, object selection, feathering, saturation, dodge and burn. It's like, oh my God, it's killing me. And I have to remember all these things. And I never know how much to use and stuff, right? So turn out that you don't need all of this. All you need to do is just remember one thing in editing. The one thing is that you only need to do very subtle local adjustments that helps to lead the viewer's eyes to the climax of the main thing of the photo. So how do we do that? Number one is you just darken the surrounding just a tiny bit, just almost say unrecognizable, and then brighten the center part a little bit so that you suddenly create this tension like Mr. Da Vinci does. So for example, this is an image, you just darken just a tiny little bit and then brighten a tiny little bit on this one. And guess what? This is the final image, very subtle. You almost don't see the difference, right? But I'll show you what is the effect after you change all of this. The second part of the editing is you have to also create subtle cold and warm color tension. So what you do is you lower the color temperature of the surrounding and then increase the color temperature of the middle. Of course, provided that you already have like a cold tone and a warmer tone of the image. So for example, this one and this one, you see the subtle difference? Very subtle, you almost cannot feel it, right? Okay, but hold on, wait for me here. Number 3, you improve the contrast using local dodge and burn at the climax of the image. So here to here, you see a little bit of difference, right? Just a tiny little bit of brightening of this part and then darkening some of the areas of here. You almost don't feel it, right? And then finally, you do some sharpness and denoising tension. You increase the sharpness more in the eyes area and then slowly get a less sharpening on the face and less sharpening on the body and no sharpening on the surrounding to create this gradient. And also for denoising as well, you denoise a lot on the surrounding and you don't denoise on the image. And guess what? This is the original and this is the final one. And guess what? So this final image compared to the original one, which is here, is a huge difference. So let me share with you what I mean by that. So for example, this one here is only these 4 tensions applied from this original image here. So can you see the difference? So why is that such a huge difference? It's because when you do everything in a very subtle way, and then when you stack them together, the power will be very powerful, just like Mr. Da Vinci was saying. And I call this thing the dynamic tension stacking because you're really stacking the tension dynamically. And there are totally 7 tensions. I don't have time to go over all of this today. And I only told you the most important tensions here. So by dynamic tension stacking, everything is guided by, if it doesn't help to move the viewer's eyes, you don't even do it. So that is really the important thing. So this is another example. This is before, this is after. And then your eyes have no way but just to grab into the eyes of the image. So understanding what editing cannot do, right? For example, the editing can do a lot of those things, but it cannot clone the image, like clone part of the distracting background, because this is unethical and not allowed, right? So what I can do in the field, I can reverse engineer it to know that what are my limits. So I have to pay much more attention when there are distractions in the background that I have to move around, right? So that I have to rearrange these components in the field to avoid distractions. What I mean by that is, for example, when I was in Yellowstone here, you see distractions in the grass, distractions in this, and distractions on that, right? And then I keep looking, and then this bison is walking to the right-hand side, and then it's breathing right here, right? And then this part, I know that green, if you go into black and white, you can easily turn it into a darker tone, right? So all I need is for me to position myself to the left so that the bison is against a pure green background, so that there is not like this different 2 tones, right? White and black, dark. So once I wait for that and then wait for an opening where there's no tall grass and then turn it into black and white, rearranging the components, that's what I mean. Rearranging the spoken words to make it have more tonality and body language. So this is the image that I got after waiting for that moment. And instantly I saw this print for over $1,000 from somebody I didn't even know. And that is the power of that. So this is another example. You know, the burrowing owl is in a very cluttered environment, but what you see in the field is not just taking a photo. What you have to pay attention to is when there is a small opening of the environment. For example, this in Yellowstone, you see this is the typical thing in Yellowstone, lots of clutter when the wolves show up, right? Trees and stuff like that. But there's always, if you're lucky, there's always a small opening that if you predict where the path of the wolf is going, you just focus on that area that is clean, and then you can get photos like this and that. Okay, this moment is when suddenly there's wind blowing by, so there's and that makes it much more mysterious. And then I take the shot when the and actually right behind here there's a tree, but when you can take a photo like that, you I didn't clone it, it's on outside the frame actually, but once you see, and then there is other grass on the left hand side, but there's the window that is clean. So this is really the important thing. And you can also use foreground blur to make the image even more mysterious. And that is also one thing that is very important. Okay, so everybody's still with me about editing and the visual journey. That is one of the most important thing. And finally, how to take photos that win awards, get publication, print sales, go viral. You guys still with me? So this is very important. Okay. Everything, even with the visual journey and stuff, is useless if that will only be a nice illustration if you don't have a climax in the image that has an external and internal emotion. What I mean by a climax is it must create a change in yourself or in the viewers, and it's internally and externally. And I'll explain to you what it means by that. The internal change is that the image, I actually spend a lot of time thinking about it. People react to what they feel, right? From the beginning of the talk. This is what we are striving for in this talk. If you can remember one thing, is the feeling, right? People can only feel what they can relate to. So if your image has some component in the main area that create this internal feeling in the viewer, that makes them change what they are thinking about this animal, for example, or make them feel something. That is the most important thing. So for example, look at this photo right here. With the eye closed, the wind blowing, the ears is off, and then you see the wind blowing in. When I show people about this photo, right, have you ever imagined a time when the wind was blowing and you're in a snowy area and you had to close your eyes, right? So this is what I call the relatable part of the climax. And if you can make people feel this thing, they feel what? Cold, windy, painful, right? So that is the climax. And that is another example, right? Have you been licked before? I mean, you know what I mean, right? So it's actually not about something that is a once a lifetime, incredible, unbelievable behavior that you have to wait for 30 years in the field to do. Like, for example, this one, a bear catching a beaver and running away. This is something that is incredible, but you don't need to always wait for those. It should be something that people can be relatable, and there is a deeper inner meaning. For example, this one photo, people have been telling me so much that this photo make them feel the fluffiness of the shoulder of the mother, and remember the pattern interrupt, the pink color, and then the leading lines leading to and then the small and big tension to lead into this comfortable feeling, right? So that is the inner feeling, and I was able to sell this print for over $2,500 from someone I don't know. And also this is another example. Okay, Jean, I got your question. This is another example. How many of you have babies kicking, like playing with your jaw, like being mischievous and playful, right? So this is something that people can relate to. And when your photo can make people relate, like, oh, I've never seen this species, but I can relate to this one. I can feel that they are very good animal. They are loving animals. I have to protect them. That is the most important thing in my life. If I can make you guys focus on that from now on to spread more message, then I will feel that my time is worth it. So, for example, the bison breathing, right? That photo, like anybody have seen a bison breathe, right? So it's a very common thing, right? They breathe every few seconds, right? So you can turn ordinary into a good shot if you think about it. So instead of passively waiting in the field, now what I do is I go into the field and look for these trigger points to create conflict and climax. And once mastering to take photos that is tech sharp, with a hook, with visual journey, and with climax, I was able to create award-winning photos all the time. Every time I go into the field, I can look for those trigger points, and I can create award-winning photos consistently. And these are some of the recognition, publication, and stuff like that. And recently, this photo was published by Brunello Cucinelli. I think is a famous clothing company from Italy. And they pay me $8,100 for this one photo that I took in Colorado. I just do a road trip. I fly to Denver, took a road trip, and take a photo like that. And so can you imagine if your photo have that storytelling capability? It can create someone out of nowhere. They just email me and say, hey, can we buy your photo for $8,000? So it's not just trying to kind of show up, but just to let you know what is the difference between nailing a shot versus a storytelling. And it's not just me. One of my great clients, Lana, who told me that she even got published in National Geographic for a 7-page spread. And she thanked me for the wonderful course and teaching with this storytelling capability. And this one is amazing. David told me, hey, David, I just saw that you won the Share the View International contest for the grand prize. And then he said, thank you. I sent you an email. I wanted to thank you. And guess what? That was in 2021. And then in 2022, Vicky, also one of my clients, she thanked me for her instruction, and she won the grand prize as well. So 2 years in a row. So David told me that, hey, I won the Share the View last year. That means you deserve credit for 2 years in a row. And this brought me so much happiness, because I can start to share this great idea with people. So anyways, let me recap, okay? So what we covered today is I show you how to take tech sharp photos consistently. And I also tell you how to reverse engineer the human psychology. Anybody think that, yeah, that human psychology thing is cool? To lead the viewer's eyes in a subtle way. Subtle is important. The visual journey, right? If you have heard about this term before and didn't understand it, I hope today it helps you to clarify that. And I also tell you how to tell powerful stories that evoke emotion, which led to many of my awards. So I want to ask you a few questions. Was our time together thus far enjoyable to you? Please type yes if it has been enjoyable to you. Playing all these games, learning the new stuff while playing the games, type in yes. Have you found it to be valuable? Does it make you think about it? Please type yes, it will mean a lot if I see you. And also, do you now feel more comfortable with your ability to take better photos? Like before, you may be thinking, like, how come I take all these photos, but only 1 or 2 photos win an award or get the likes, but some of the photos never win the awards? I hope this talk helped you to have that clarity, to know what is going right and what is going wrong in your photos. So type yes if you feel more comfortable. And let me know if you have come up with some good ideas that you already feel excited about implementing in your photography, that you can't wait to go out for your next outing to try out some of the new ideas that you just came out with after hearing what I talk about. So is it fair to say that using these techniques would give you a significant advantage over other photographers? Think about it, right? We have about 200 people right here in the call. Think about, like, there are millions and millions of photographers out there who don't even know about visual journey, about storytelling. So think about the significant advantage now that you know these secrets. So now you have 2 choices. I have absolute confidence that you could take everything that we cover here today and on your own go out like today, this evening, or go out tomorrow morning and put it into action and get great results that you previously thought weren't possible. I know a lot of you didn't have the confidence and think, God, I don't have time. I have a full-time job and all these things. But now with all these new ideas, I think you're willing to try. And if you really put in the time and the effort and really figure out, for example, all the ways to do the dynamic tension stacking, all the way to really know about the trigger points into the emotion, what kind of photo contest you can submit to, I believe that you can get great results that most people will never be able to do it. And if that were your only option, I think it would be ideal to pursue. However, what if there were another option, an option that allow me and you, allow us to go at it together, a chance to go deeper than we can in just this 1 hour and 9 minutes in one webinar, so that we can connect together instead of just this one time. What if I played an active role in your results, took a responsibility in your success, and had an obligation to your outcome? How would that make things different? And that's why, with great pleasure, that I introduce you to this one thing that I just came out, which is called my new high-level mentorship and on-location training program. Over the years, I have been to so many tours. I realized that all I did was I end up with hard drives of all the photos that I didn't do. I don't know what to do with. So I don't want to just offer a tour to people. Instead, let me share with you what this program, this crazy program is gonna be. And I'm only going to do it probably this one time, really, because I mean, I make enough money from my online classes and stuff and other workshops. But this thing, I just feel that I want to give it a try. So this is a very limited inner circle membership. I'm only gonna take 10 people, okay? Only 10 people this one time, and I may not offer this again. So in this high-level program, it will be a combination of on-location training. And because, you know, the pandemic and stuff, I really, only a few days ago, I was able to secure a few spots. I know that the location is a go. There's no problems in the COVID restrictions and stuff. So I only secured a very few spots for Alaska in July. And so what this program is, you go with me to this tour, and I also include a 1-year mentorship after that. So what we are going to do is we will deep dive into your photography with strategic small group coaching tailored to your need. So for example, if you want to start your own photography career, I can share with you how I sold my photo course to over 800 students now. And I probably make more than $400,000 from just my photography class, not including the tours and stuff. I'll share with you without holding back how I did it. Right? And this inner circle mentorship also can help you to create a personal plan. Like if you want to be recognized, how do you do social media? How do you post your photo? How do you write your story? How do you interact with people? How do you build your email list? And how do you, most importantly, win a lot of awards and share your message on that one, right? I'll answer your questions, and I will create a clear and concise execution plan for you, because everybody are in different background. Some of you like Jeremy there, he is a very busy surgeon. He only have like probably 10 days, 15 days a year, and he want to learn as much as possible to express his art and make a change as much as possible. And by the way, I want to say congratulations, Jeremy, because one of his photos was being used to change the law in Louisiana for conservation, just by storytelling. And I mean, you can go into award-winning photography group and search Jeremy, and he probably have that photo there. And so I can tailor this to your own business, or help you to just create great photos, right? Make a great print, and then you can hang it for 6 feet in your room in museum quality. Basically, help you to transform yourself into a great photographer and save years and years of trial and error. You can do it in a very short time. Basically, these 5 days, I trust that you believe in it. And why do I believe in that? Is because last year I brought a few students with me in those tours, and I think there were more than 10 people in my bear tours who got into the top 100 in the Remembering Bears photo contest, and several of them made the Remembering Bears final publication, and they win so many awards. And I'll share with you at the end. So anyway, so if I want to share with you more, so this is the link, by the way. So tinmanley.com/mentorship. Just go into the link. And I'm not going to ask you to pay for anything yet, because I am only going to pick 10 people. And I don't want to pick crazy people here. And I myself, believe it or not, an ultra introvert. And I only want to talk to people who are very easygoing and who has a very open mind and willing to learn, and very good to be in a very small group settings. No drama, you know. I don't handle drama. So I want to select you and see that you have. Doesn't matter what your background is, what is your level, but the key thing is you have a willingness to learn and you have an open mind and you listen to me. So I want to look at your application and see if I can really help you. For example, if you ask me, hey, I want to take a photo of a Wolverine in front of a rainbow, then I can't help you. Right? So I need to make sure that I can help you with what you need. And once I realize that I can help you, reading your application, I will reach out to you within 48 hours to tell you the details of this mentorship program. And I'll tell you more details about the pricing, whether it shoots for you and what it includes and stuff like that. And but briefly, it's going to be a 5-day on-location training where I take you by my side on a small group setting. And then I'm also, after that, I'm going to customize a timetable for you, which show you what are the contests that I think some of the photos you have chance to win. And I'll help you to strategize how to edit the photo. For example, one of my clients, Leah, I remember she asked me in one of my coaching calls about the photos that she tried to submit to many photo contests, and she didn't win. And I said, oh, the composition is this kind of adjustment. You need dynamic tension stacking to do a few of those adjustments. And then, trust me, submit to this photo contest. And I think she won a big award in, was it in Nampa? I think it was it in Nampa or something? And then later she won a big award in Nature Photographer of the Year as well. So that's the thing that I can offer you, because being a judge for many years and submitting photos and winning awards myself, I have a lot of lessons that I learned. And over the years, I have coached more than 800 students, and I coach them like once every few weeks. So I have a lot of experience in looking into what can be the most effective way to help you. So this is going to be a crazy full 1-year membership. So, and you have lifetime access to all the coaching call recordings. And so these videos will be your roadmap that can be referred back to for years to come, which is your personalized execution plan. For example, if you have a trip coming up to Kenya, if you have a trip coming up to Antarctica, I can talk to you and help you to strategize what are the photos that it might help you. Of course, I don't want to control you to take what kind of photos. I'm going to give you kind of suggestions, and you can build it from there to create photos that make the huge impact. And also social media, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, these are all the new things. And if you don't have a reach in social media, your photos are not going to be recognized. And if you don't win awards, it's very difficult. It may take many years for you to be recognized. And winning a lot of awards is really the best way to get recognized. And I'll show you the strategies and how to get it in the shortest time. And it will include 24 group coaching calls. God, what I'm getting myself into. And I'm also, if you are interested, these are optional. I can help you to build a sustaining, growing email list. And so that you can, just like me, teach some classes, lead some workshops, and then you can really become a full-time wildlife photographer too. And honestly, I make a lot more money than my previous job, and I'm super thankful for that. So if you want me to be by your side on this on-location training, it will be that will include the lodging, dedicated vehicle, and then we live and breathe in photography. When we are not shooting the wildlife in the lodge, we will talk about, I'll look into your photos and help you to pick, teach you what are the distractions and stuff, what are the visual journey, how to tell a powerful stories. It will be an immersive 5 days. And then afterwards, we will have this 1 year mentorship program. So let me tell you a little bit about why I picked these 5 days things, because it is very important to pick a target-rich environment, right? So I had already done it for you. I went to a lot of places. I joined many tours, and I joined some great tours. I joined some not so great tours. So I narrowed it down to some of the best places on Earth. For example, one of the places is St. Paul Island in Alaska, where you actually are on a cliff shooting downwards. And so you can get eye level or even higher than eye level for all the birds. And the lodging is basic, but it's very clean. It's like a dorm room kind of setting, and we have dedicated vehicle to drive to the location, and then you can get eye level photos of tufted puffins like this. You can get creative on backlit and stuff, because 24 hours light in Alaska, you can get some dramatic light, like topside view, a lot of other bird species. And you can even have a chance, not guarantee, of course, you will see some Arctic fox, blackface, and maybe you can get some Arctic fox kitten too, pups too. So this one was taken over there. So and then another option, if that one is full, so that one is perfect if you want to get learn birds in flight and action photography, because there's a non-stop action for birds. And once you master birds in flight, really you can master everything else a lot easier, because that was my path before. And the second option is going to Alaska, where you have some cozy lodging, and then you can see bears that close story. So so if you are interested, only if you're seriously interested, because it's not gonna be not gonna be low price, because I want to put in all my efforts to teach you. So it's gonna be at least a 5-figure investment. So only if you are very serious, but I can almost guarantee you, if you put in the hard work, you can become a great photographer during this mentorship program. So some of the examples, some of the testimonials is, for example, Mustafa's, just from the, I haven't gotten the like, I don't want to violate the copyright of his photos. Not that I want to kind of hide the photo from you, but he won the Wild Arts Photographer of the Year, top 100 several times already. I think 4 photos he made in the top 100 just from the Kenya trip that he went with me and Federico. And then Donna also won a lot of awards in wildlife photography group. And Barbara, from my trip last year, she made 2 photos into the top 100 remembering bears contest. So, and Conrad also won multiple awards in wild art photo contest. And indeed, I just want to let you know that I finally achieved this one thing, because some friends recently told me. So I'm just so honored that I think I have students who have won all the major awards right now in the world. Wildlife Photographer of the Year, Nature's Best, Winland Smith Rice, what else? Audubon, NANPA, Wild Art, Share the View, and you name it. So, and then National Geographic, as I mentioned. So I'm very honored. And this is not like a show off, but I just want to let you know that if you can master the storytelling aspect of photography, you can create results instantly, even if you have a full-time job, even if you are a professional, because I believe that you all have that talent inside you. It's just that there are just too many noises out there, like literally. You might, like, there are a lot of great photographers out there, full-time photographers. They may have won a lot of awards, but some of them may not know how to teach. And for me, I'm just obsessed, as you can see, to demystify what is underneath a successful image. And I just break it out. I just have that obsession all the time. So I read all the books about storytelling and stuff like that. And I just love that. Maybe it is part of my engineering background. My students have this kind of results. So yeah, so that is that. So I hope that if you make that decision, it can really change your life. And so let me go back to the link here. All right. So tinmanli.com/mentorship. So I hope that you guys enjoy this talk. All right. Whew. That's not too bad. I only went for an hour and 20 minutes. Okay. So Jing, are you still here? Sorry, I go over time.
Still here.
All right. So okay. So any key questions?
We have a couple questions about the date and timing of the retreat, just to clarify that it is this upcoming July 2022.
Oh yes. So I love to live dangerously. Well, the thing is, I only heard about some of the locations being opened, and so those spots just opened, and it is in this July. So if you and then I also want to make things happen. So if you are serious about transforming your photography, I don't want you to book a trip a year from now and then you have to wait for a year to really test it. Because what I learned so far was when people go with me in the field, I can instantly help them to solve the majority of the problems and let them see what it is. And then it is much easier for me to teach them afterwards. And I don't know if some of you who have been in my trips on the audience can back me up on that. Because like you know, every time the situation is different. So I want, and it's never perfect in the field. So circumstances is never perfect. And I want you to become a creator instead of a creature of circumstances. So that's why I want to get the trip done as soon as possible. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be in early July and mid-July for the two trips. I think one of them is from July 2nd to July 7th. And the other one is July 10th to July 16th. So about 5 to 6 days. And so what you do is all you need is just to book a flight to Anchorage, and then everything else is covered after you arrive in Anchorage. And then I'll just bring you to the location, bring your 400 millimeters, 600 millimeters. If you don't have that, rent those lenses. And then I'm just going to show you everything. And it's going to be fun. So yeah, so Jane, I hope that answered the questions.
Yes, and there were also several questions about contests. Someone asked what contests are the best to enter for prizes, notoriety. Somebody asked if contests will reject photos that have been processed with things like adjusting the highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, sliders in Lightroom. And another person asked about understanding the various types of photo contests out there and which ones you would recommend.
God, I wonder, can I say objection compound? Sorry about that. Oh, now you guys know I'm crazy. So too many questions. Just kidding. So very good questions. And I forgot all the questions already. So anyway, so for the contest, so some of the good contests I can suggest is Nature's Best Photography Winner Smith Rice, and then Wildlife Photographer of the Year is very famous. Audubon, NANPA, Share the View, and Wild Art Photographer of the Years, some of the things that come in mind. And what you have to pay attention to, again, like I want to kind of show you everything from a human perception, human psychology thing. So you want to submit to a photo contest that is well known. So a lot of people will read it, but also you have to pay attention to whether you lose the copyright to the photo contest. For example, if the photo contest is gonna print your photos and sell it unlimited or something like that, then you may have to, and then you lose the copyright of your photos. Then those are no-nos, right? You want of course, they can use your photos to publish in the award-winning photo magazines, right? Because then more people can read it. But you just have to pay more attention to some of those. So those contests that I suggested are pretty good. And indeed, if you join this mentorship program, I'm going to share with you all the photo contests I suggested, remind you of the deadlines. And also, photo contest is not like magic that as long as you have storytelling photos, then you can win, because photo contest is comprised of judges. So all the judges are different, right? So for example, if the judge loves Raven, you see that year after year, the photo contest will have Raven winning the award. Anybody knows my my joke in that one? So you really have to understand the panel of the judges and look at the previous winners of the photo contest. To, I don't want to say it's a hack, but everything in this world, like if you agree with me, life is really a game, right? If you understand the rule of the game, is a lot easier. So so every contest have different requirements. For example, Audubon didn't allow people to use Topax denoise before, but I think this year they didn't mention it. So I don't know if they allow it or not. So you have to be very careful. So what I learned from the contest and stuff is, so far I've been using the technique dynamic tension stacking. I think Jane asked me, where do you get to this page? So I'll answer to you in a bit. But so far I've been using this method, very subtle. I think the key is very subtle. As long as you do subtle things, it is allowed. So highlight, shadow, very subtle, but of course it's not like jumping like crazy. And that is usually contest allowed. Of course, you don't add fake fog and like fake background and fake light source and those kind of things. And I have, in terms of where you can purchase the dynamic tension stacking, I have decided to pause the selling of the dynamic tension stacking, because I have over 600 students in that class right now, and it reached a volume that I want to manage. And I think really the most important thing in terms of editing is the accountability. So you edit the photo. I think if you don't have somebody like me to look at the photo to let you know what it is, that it is allowed or not, it is just very difficult for you to get an idea. And we are the worst judge for ourselves, right? So we never really know. So right now, that's why I want to put this into my mentorship program as well. So you have access to all of those dynamic tension stacking, and also the coaching course, and even in the field, I will go over in your computer and in my computer about how you can edit your photos and also my photos using those techniques. I think once you do it, like maybe 2 or 3 times, you become a master on that. Okay, so Jane. So I'll answer another questions for another 5 minutes, and then I'm kind of almost fainting of hunger. So okay, Jane, any other questions? Maybe I'll answer 2 more.
Someone is asking thoughts on software such as Topaz, Sharpen AI to rescue images that are once in a lifetime but not tack sharp. So I think they're basically asking, like, if you've already taken the photo and they're not tack sharp, how would you rescue that photo?
So I have been talking to a lot of the photographers whom I admired. For example, not talked to, but also heard. So I use heard and talk to synonymously. Sorry about that. I kept on joking on those things. Don't laugh at me, please. Andy Rouse, one of the legendary photographers, Paul McKinsey, my good friend whom I hang out with, Federico Vernici, great idol, and somebody who I co-lead with. These great photographers, they all told me that if the photos are not critically sharp, when you zoom in the eyes at 200, 300%, they just delete it. That's the simple thing. Because even if you edit it and then it's sharp, right? Like we as a photographer, like we love that challenge, right? The reason why you love wildlife photography and bird photography is it's freaking challenging, right? Like if an owl is flying towards you, you only have this once a lifetime chance, and then the background is very challenging and the light is low, and then if you nail that shot, right, that is the most satisfying feeling, right? Or elusive animals, and oh god, like even my camera felt the excitement there to lose the focus a little bit. So if your photo is not critically sharp, yes, the Topax denoise AI and sharpen AI can do miracles, and it indeed saved some of my photos of wolf when I was using a 600 and a 2x teleconverter. But at the end, like only you know that this is not a shot that you nailed perfectly, right? So and also some of the photo contests may not be as critical as you in terms of the sharpness, because some of the judges, they don't care about the sharpness. So what I have been telling you today is really to help you to become the greatest photographer that you can be. Instead of just like hacking the game to win awards. So how do you get the best image quality? How do you get the greatest sharpness and tell a powerful stories? And all these winning awards, going viral, and all these things are just side effects, right? So like the judges, being a judge of Nature Photographer of the Year and a judge for Bird Photographer of the Year, I got the invitation from email from someone that I didn't know before. I never submit a letter, say, hey, can I become a judge, right? They invited me. And it's all because I believe it's because of the photos that tell a story that capture people's attention. So, so I hope that this is not a winding, long philosophical answer to you, but Andy Rouse, Federico, Paul, they just trash the photos if it's not critically sharp. But yeah, if you just want to make a beautiful print, enhance the quality a little bit, certainly the Topax AI and denoise can create miracle right now. So I highly recommend you. So to get back to some of the questions right now, I use fast raw viewer thanks to Scott and Harry and some of my other friends to tell me about that great software. I think they got it from Mark Smith about fast raw viewer, much faster than Lightroom. And then I use that to browse the photos, and then I open Photoshop to edit. And then I use Topax, denoise AI, and also I use Nick software, which is now called the DxO. Okay. All right. So one last question. Okay, Jane, can you pick the best question?
The best question. We've answered a lot of them, actually. One that I think maybe several people would want to know about is how you go about pricing a photo and how you go about selling your photos.
Okay, that is a very good question. And by the way, I know we have a lot of questions. I think, Jane, you have collected some of them, right? And what I'm going to do is in future Facebook Live and YouTube stuff, I will try to get into those questions and answer you through some videos if I recover from jet lag and also recover from today's webinar here. So pricing your print is one of the most important question right here. Critical, very good, not the best. I mean, it is. God, sorry, now you know I'm hangry. So what I want to tell people is charge more for your print. Okay, if you, I can teach you one thing is charge more for your prints. And I want to share with you one example from Donald. Donald, are you here? Can you click yes if you're there? Donald Quintana, one of my very good friends. Maybe it's not. So how many people know him, right? So he told me one story one time, sharing with the class too. So he saw a print to a lady who probably in her 80s or 90s. And the lady say, hey, can I buy a picture of you? It's a bird photo. And so Donald was like, okay, yeah, I'm selling this photo. And seeing that, I mean, like the lady was so kind and stuff. So she said, okay, the photo is gonna be $200 or $300. And then it's like a 36-inch. I don't know. I'm just like BSing. It's a big print. And then so she showed the photo to the lady, and then she was happy. And then the lady, and then one day afterwards, Donald received an email from a framing company that's the frame for the photo. And the framing company called Donald and said, hey, Donald, are you the photographer of this photo? And Donald said, yeah. And then the company said, hey, we are in the process of framing this photo for the lady. But unfortunately, we damaged the photo a little bit. And we would like to pay you for the extra if you can make another print and send it to us. So Donald said, oh, sure, no problem. I can send it to you. But just curious, how much do you guys charge for that frame for that lady? And guess how much? So the company said it's about $8,000. So the photo is like $400 and the frame is $8,000. So what I want to tell you is, if people want your print, probably the lady would pay more than $8,000 for that print. If Donald say that, probably more than what the frame is costing. So it's very important to don't lower the art, because a lot of photographers rely on this occupation to make a living. And if you always give the print for free or $20 or $30, like we are lowering our art, right? We have to respect our art. So what I would suggest you guys to do is start to charge more than $1,000 first. And I have known photographers who are charging $10,000, $30,000. I haven't done that. I mean, I sold that mountain gold pick for $8,000 without any negotiation. But so the market is there. So the key thing is, well, I'm going to not to advertise, but that is actually one of the main things I'm going to talk about and discuss in my mentorship program, is how do you use the social media to reach more people and reach the collectors who are willing to buy your print at a higher price, and how do you keep your message. And winning awards is one important thing. If your photo has won an award, and second thing is, if it's a limited edition print, you can always make it a higher price, right? Like people like Tom Mangos and people like Nick Brand, right? They have prints that cost more than $20,000, $40,000, $80,000, and is sold out, right? So those are the things that we'll discuss about. And but yeah, so I would suggest $1,000 if you're doing limited edition print of like 10 to 20 of them, and see how it goes, and just hold strong on your price, and believe that a strong story is what you can sell. And I have so many people asking me over the years to buy my prints, and without even negotiating and stuff, I always say like $3,000, and they say, okay, done. And say, oh, dang it, I should have charged more. So that is that. So anyways, I hope that you guys enjoy this thing. And I to say it again, this mentorship program is something that I gather from the last 20 years of experience, that I don't think anybody have offered this kind of program before. Most of them are either classes or tours. But based on what I've been learning, I find out the best way to learn is this one. So you have 24 calls, which is like every 2 weeks you have a group coaching course, and then I'm going to touch on what you have. And I think it is very easy to really make a living from wildlife photography, but provided that you become a great photographer that can tell stories. So I highly recommend you guys to try to go onto this application page and fill out your forms. And once you finish, I'll review your thing, your application, and get back to you. All right. So Jing, thank you very much. And thank you very much, everybody. The replay is going to be available in a few hours, but I'm only going to take 10 people in the application. And again, is going to be a premium product, so don't expect it to be cheap, but I guarantee that you can gain probably 10 times more from that. And the second thing is I'm going to take 10 people. Did I already say that? And the third thing is I may not offer this again. I'll just see how it goes on this one. Yeah, so all right. So so the Mark asked the slides are not going to be available. So because of a lot of the copyright stuff, I can't share the slides, but the video is going to be available. So basically, you can just review the video, and there you can get that. Okay. Hey, Glenn. Yeah. So Glenn here, as you can see from the comment, he recently got published in the prestigious Bird Photographer of the Year, and I'm super happy for you, Glenn. And so Glenn, as people may not know, he is a accomplished author and writer, and he is an artist in himself. So he has a lot of art to express. And guess what? When he venture into photography and understand the elements of telling a story, instantly he won an award was it in Nampa? And then the photo is being selected and published in Bird Photographer of the Year, the yearbook that is highly prestigious. So so again, thank you so much. Jing, can I end this?
I think you're good. Yes.
All right. So thank you so much. Oh my God, I can hear my stomach. All right. So thank you so much again, Jing, for your great help. I'll follow up with you later. And thank you, everybody. And tinmanli.com/mentorship. All right. So I'll talk to you later.